excited see these technologies. So before starting this, I just want a couple of questions from you guys. So how many of you are like more interested towards gaming applications? Only one? Okay, how many of your kids are paying their attention towards gaming applications? Okay. Okay, how many of you are like going for the online shoppings? I think all of you. And when you are shopping something, if you are get any chance to try it at your home, so how excited you are about that? No? You try the application, you see how you are looking on the like product you are buying. So yes. So these are the extended reality application. Generally, we want to live in a virtual world rather real world nowadays. So these businesses are now prevail in market like anything. So we are going to give a glimpse about this application, how these applications are prevailing in the market, what are the quality aspect of these applications. These applications, if you know, it started around, the R&D on this application is started around 1968. Can you imagine in 2022 we are using the 90 application, 90 games, and we are going for the online shopping with the AR experience in 2022. Though the journey was started in 1968. Can anyone say what was the reason behind that? Why so long period? I just want like interactive. Okay,
The cost
so
of applications became very high, but recently because of cloud probably it went down.
any other answer?
No
Amount of data what we want to analyze.
These applications exactly need so many testing, right? So to validate this application, whether they are properly giving the user experience or not, it took a long time from 1968 to 2000 when the inventors are like found proper equipment which can give a user a real experience. Then again the exploration start. There are many like cost effectiveness. People won't buy this application. It comes up to 2015. After 2015, people started enjoying this application. Now small kids also, if you take your kid to a theme park, they will like demand, I will go for the 9D app, I will go for the 5D app. Even they don't know what is the D stand for, but they want to take the experience of these applications, right? So these applications now prevail in the world of like education, healthcare, and any sort of business like commercial applications, and even you can take a test drive using these applications. So these applications are made in like many objects they have connected together and interacted together, then these applications are developed. So when we are testing this application, it's not like we'll test them in a traditional way. We need like much expertise, not only domain expertise like QA expertise. You have to take the expertise of the particular field for which the application is developed. So these are all extended reality applications. So myself, Sunita, I am the manager QE. Along with me, Bhatia, we are going to give you how to test these applications, what are the best practice we are going to implement to test these applications, so that you can like any company who are adopting this technology, their QA can be tested this application and validate the quality properly, so that they can like create a good market values. So what we are going to cover is, we will give about the basic idea, what is the Azure world, what are the challenges between the applications. You know, as I mentioned that it took a long time to come in the market. So there are challenges, we found a solution. Again in testing also there are challenges, we found a solution. So to sustain any application, challenges must be there. We need to discuss the challenges. Then how these applications need to be tested. What are the like process you need to follow. Then type of testing we are going to discuss. Then the best practice you need to implement in your testing, that we are going to discuss. Again, after end, we'll give a brief idea about the scope of testing, because automation is like a part of QA nowadays. Many companies, they think that manual testing is end and we are going to adopt the automation. If automation is not there, then it is not like nobody is adopt your product, right? So we are going to give a scope of automation and we'll welcome some question and answer at the end. So this term XR is the umbrella term. Umbrella term means it's a combination of AR, VR and MR. So you can say it's like variable which is composed of 3 different reality applications. Yeah. So what is AR? AR is the augmented reality. What is augmented reality? Augmented reality means you are in a real world and there is a physical object. Both are interacting with a digital overlay. Like we are using the Snapchat, right? In Snapchat, you are having like different filters, and you are real, but the filters are like object you are applying on your face, and the mobile is the overlay, and you are taking the experience of that. So this is the AR application. Then VR is completely immersive world. You are walking in a dinosaur era, which is not possible nowadays, but you are taking the experience of that. So this is completely immersive applications. Then MR. MR is the like application which is a combination of I can say both AR and VR. Here we are interacting the real world with the physical object, and there are like interface of digital element as well as physical element. Let me give you one example. You must have aware that testing on the guinea pig is now prohibited. We cannot kill the guinea pig. So how the doctors can study further? Medical students, it's like challenges for them. So what they do, they put them guinea pig, like guinea pig, and they put the VR elements or the MR element, MR device in their eye, and they take like, suppose they want to read something about the heart. So the heart will be pop up in front of them. They will like read different part. Then they understand that okay, the function of heart is there. So the killing of that animal is safe. So you can understand how like technology is advanced and how we are providing a good solution to the society actually. So I'll give some example. The lens card where you can like take the experience, real experience of specs you want to buy from your home, and whichever you select, you can like buy it based on your user experience, how it looks on your face. Again, the second application is the MR application. So my again question to you all: when you are going for the interior of your application, your home, especially for like the female are sitting over here. So when you are going for the interior, after interior, it's always come like, what we did here? Why this color is there? I would have taken the other color. So this confusion were always there after we have spent lot of money and after we have invested much money. So why so? Before investing, we can analyze, okay, these are the things I can do in my interior, I can get a good experience on that. So in that case, MR or AR application, both can help. Second is the VR application. You can see you are in a virtual world, you can do anything, you can go with the dinosaur era, you can even fight with the King Ashoka, you can take everything. So these are the applications. So just imagine, suppose someone is buying the lens card, and in spite of, you see the, like there is a line between the two space, right? The joining point. If the joining point will come below the notch, how that person will take the experience? They simply say, why should I buy from here? I should go to the shop without taking the experience. So for this, quality, validating quality, understand the product, understand where the things will come, everything is very challenging, and the QA person need to take a good experience on that. They need to take the domain expert and they should have a proper planning for that to test your application. So Harsh will continue from here. He will give the what are the challenges behind that, and again I'll join to the some good scenarios and the automation scope over here. Yeah.
Thank you, Sunita. So we now know what is the XR and how the XR things works. But behind that also there are some challenges. The first challenge is which is the non-standard interface and 3D spaces. Let's say you are testing a application. Let's say you are testing the Windows application. So in there you have the icon, you have the buttons, you have the mouse actions to do that. But in the XR world you don't have such thing. So there would be a physical object and there would be a 3D space, and you need to interact with them. So that is one of the challenges which you face during the testing. The other one would be the motion testing. So whenever there is one AR application, so in there they uses the many hardware configuration from your device. Let's say there is a mobile application. You must have heard about the Pokemon game which got popular so much. So they are using the camera, and with the camera in a real world they are showing the virtual objects. Okay, so in that they are using the accelerometer and gyroscope as well. So using both the sensor, they are pointing the exact location of this element and this element. So to test that is also one of the challenge that you need to pay attention by moving a little your device, how the end user experience would change. You need to validate that. The other one would be the variability of the hardware. So we all know these are the XR applications, so we can't test on any emulator or something like that. There should be a physical touch for the same. Okay, so there would be always a variability of the hardware, depend upon the screen size, what is the configuration, what is the camera megapixels, and other many stuffs. The next is the legal implications. So whenever there is one product and which is delivering to the end user, there will be some legal implication that are your product or are your software is fully legal or not, is that following the complete market standards or not. So as a tester, you need to take care of the same thing as well. The next one would be the more testing required. So this is not the typical application which you might are testing in your day-to-day life. So you need to pay more attention to that to find out the loopholes, to find out the bugs from this application. The last one would be the test a wide range of devices. So as I mentioned, you must need a physical touch for the same. So for that you need a different types of configuration devices in order to check that the main purpose of your application is satisfying or not. The main goal of your application which has to be delivered, is it happening or not? So the next point is how to test this exact world. So the first one would be the understand the requirement. So you need to understand the application. Let's say we are testing the Pokemon Go application. So what is the purpose of that application? You need to understand that. What is the goal of that particular application? Who would be the target audience of that application? You need to gather all this data, and basis on that you need to go at. The next would be the test initialization. So you need to prepare the test suits. You need to prepare the test data based on the requirement which you have gathered in the previous state. And this test data should be with a mindset of the end user, the target audience, how they are going to do it, and you need to prepare basis on that. The next is the scope of testing. So you need to define that how you are going to test it. So you are going to test it on a simulator, or are you going to test it on the physical devices? So at a certain extent, yes, you can test it on a simulator, but when and where there is a required of a hardware thing, you must do it on a physical device. The other way we decide the kind of testing to be performed. So in an XR world also we can do the functional testing, we can do the accessibility testing, we can do the security testing. All of those we can do that. I will explain the upcoming slides. The next one would be work collaboratively with the developers. So the developers who are working on this, must be working in a cutting edge technology. So you need to sit with them. You need to understand their mindset, that how they are developing the application, how they are thinking. So basis on that you can prepare your test data. You can keep as an end user mindset in your that, and basis on that you can go ahead and prepare the test data and stuff. The last one would be the creative side. So as I mentioned, this is not the typical application which we do in our day-to-day life. So your mindset has to be on a creative side that if I do this, that how the things would be work. Because there would be the virtual objects, there would be a fully 3D space. So you need to think from that perspective. So the next topic would be the types of testing. So as I mentioned that we need to define that which types of testing we need to do. So the first one would be functional testing. So in here we will explore the application, we will see how our application, what is our end goal, and basis on that we will do the functional testing. The next one would be the usability testing. So we need to verify that the particular application, is it working on the all devices or not, is it the usable by the end user or not. So we need to verify those things. Next one would be immersive testing. So in here we need to see that we are in an XR world. So there should be an immersive part. If anything happens to any point, so how the user experience would change, we also need to think on that perspective. The other one would be the hardware testing. So that would be that we need to test with the different configuration, we need to test with the different hardwares, and there should be a physical touch as well. The next one would be the accessibility testing. So let's say there is a one person who is impaired, or he or she has a motion sickness, or if that person wears a device for a 30 minutes or 40 minutes and he feels dizzy or something like that. So we need to also consider those things in our mind. The next is the security testing. So when we were researching about that, so we have come up that many military forces and army forces are also using this as a simulation for their soldiers. So we also need to keep back of the mind that we need to think from the security standpoint that the data privacy should be there. There should be no data leakage from the application. So we need to consider that point as well. The other one would be the compatibility testing. So again, with the different hardwares, many hardwares are there, many different things are there. So we need to consider from that point that if there are the X devices, so my application experience should be same in every devices. Okay. So the next one is a test strategy for this XR one. So if you can see on the right side, what Sunita have just mentioned, that we can't do the testing on an animal. So if someone has to learn, if there is a doctors who are learning such things, so there are applications are available in the market. They are exploring that, they are working on that. So when as a QA we need to work and we need to test it, then what would be the strategy for the same? So the first one would be the tool selection. So here we are not gonna go and just say, chalo, let's use the CLiner, chalo, let's use the Postman. No, it won't be the case. So we need to think that there are no such strong tool in the market. We need to research on that. We need to research our requirements, that what is our requirement, what is our target audience, and basis on that we need to go ahead for the tool selection. The next one would be the testing device. So as I mentioned that there would be always a physical touch. So let's say if I need to, there is some application which uses a camera. So I can't test it on the simulator. I need a physical device in order to test it. So we need to keep in mind that what would be the testing device. So all of them would be the physical device, or at certain level a simulation would work. So we need to think from that point. The next one would be the environment setup. So if there is a mix of physical plus simulator both, so we also need to set up the environment basis on that environment should accept the simulator device, and as well as it should work with the physical devices as well. So we need to set up our test environment basis on that part. The other would be the battery consumption. So we have read one article where there was one XR application, and on a low consumption it doesn't work. On a low battery consumption it doesn't work. So we need to test from that perspective, as if there is at certain level the battery is there, so how our application will perform. So we need to keep in mind that as well. The other one would be the expert advice. So let's say that this is the application and the doctors are working on that, and as a tester we need to go dig down that how the doctors are thinking, how we need to do. and alongside with that, there should be a one expert who is from that industry, who can advise us that yes, we can use this. Practically, we will do that, and basis on that, we need to test the application. The next one would be the record session. So the record session is a thing whenever you are testing and you record something, and after that you watch that recording. So you are watching from as an end user perspective. You are watching as a third person. So you will get to know how the end user will see your application, how your end user will understand your application, and basis on that you can test the application. Yeah. So the next one would be the sample test scenario. So Sunita will explain on that.
Thank you, Vas. So before going for the sample test scenario, I'll just give my personal experience on this application. This is the Compatibility, the application which is completely tested by me, and I am in a committee of like product management also that time. So we are analyzing the product. So when we have analyzed the product, we have taken the KT and we have given it to QA to test it. The QA completely unaware about the product. He doesn't know, like he knows like it's a mobile application, I have to test it. But the QA is not aware about the body function of a frog. So it's a kind of testing of a like liver, but the QA validate it with the heart. So can you imagine how domain knowledge for a QA is like required? So at the end we analyze that okay, the person need to validate the heart instead of liver. So they need to understand the technical term.
Yes.
So here are some testing scenario which I am going to give. But this is not a complete scenario. Some scenario may come after you take the real requirement. So first thing is testing the application in the various device. Why it is required? Because the VR devices changes every, you can say very frequently. So now Oculus is there. In next couple of months, Oculus 3.5, 3.6, 3.7, like the version will be updated. So based on the version, the hardware compatibility also changes. So these applications completely rely on the hardware compatibility. So we need to validate the application with many devices. Then second point is verifying the application on the position. Like these applications are generally 2D or 3D applications. Let's give an example. Suppose we are testing a like germination of a seed, and when we scan the seed, we see that in the application the root is coming upward. So until and unless the user is not having that experience from where the root should come, it not be validated properly. Again, the branches should come slanting. The application needs like vertical projection, horizontal projection, and slanting projection. So there are many coordinates connected, then they are validated. So when the application is tested, the QA has to validate each coordinate from where the coordinate is started. So they need to validate the positioning from where it will be like pop up and from which coordinate it will start. Then check the accuracy. Accuracy is the like I can say it's like more essential, because if the products work slow, then nobody will going to buy this application, because everybody wants the application should run like flights. So accuracy is like more factor. Like here there are many element integrated each other, many sub elements are there, many objects are there. So we have to take each object and each element in spite of like their image resolution should not be compromised. We have to test the accuracy on that. Secondly, the next point is the the resolution of the image or optimal image. We cannot take a small image for this application, because user need a good experience on the in the images, because it's a game of image only. So if we are compromising with the image, or we take the low resolution image, then user will not happy. But if you take very high resolution image, again the application will not happy. So we have to make a sync up between user expectation and application expectation. So the tester needs to test what is the best optimal image should be used in the application, and that they need to test in different screen size, in different resolution of the device, and many devices they need to cover it. Then check the virtual object reflect rate. There are like dark mode and light mode. We need to validate the product in dark and light mode, whether they are working proper or not. Then check the voice over. Just imagine, suppose we are taking a experience of dinosaur, era of dinosaur, and we found that dinosaur is moving forward, and I am getting the dinosaur sound in the after that, after the dinosaur move forward. So it will not give again a good experience. So the sync of voice, where the voice will come and when the application will trigger, that should be synchronized, that need to be tested properly. Then moving forward, the tracking different object. There are like 2D object, 3D object. We need to track what are the object incorporated to make the complete application. Then the scanning of the environment. You must have used any AR application. You scan the your wall and you can apply any color. I have used Asian Paint application. I found a bug over there. If there is any object in between your wall, then the complete application get crash. So these things need to be tested when you are scanning anything. If any 3D object or 2D object comes in between, that should be handled by the system. That needs to be tested properly. Then again you have to go for 2D, 3D. Now it is coming 9D, 5D. So you have to test all application as per the different dimension. Then usability. Usability time is also very important, because if I have given you an example, suppose I personally tested the VR application, and it was around 2008-9 when the VR was newly introduced in India. So that time, when I put the application VR device in my eyes and I tested the application, after 15 minutes, I have a motion sickness. I have started vomiting and I become dizzy, and I took the leave for that. So just imagine if it is not validated from the QA, how the end user will experience. So when we are providing this application to the world, we become the guinea pig. The QA is the guinea pig. The QA has to take this experiment on their self, how this is usable, what is the maximum usability time for the end user. Then device temperature, as Harsh has already mentioned, device temperature is again a crucial factor. We need to test it, because sometimes it happens if the device get more heat, it can be burst, and any end user may get harmed by that. Generally, this application now is used in the education industry, and small kids are playing with that. So we have to take care of that also. How much device temperature it is consuming. Once it reaches to the maximum temperature, at least the application should construct some message and it should be stopped. So there it is required for that. So far we have talked so much on manual testing and functional testing. Now the challenges is automation. These applications are it's not a standard traditional application. We have click, we have swipe. This varies from device to device. We cannot automate it properly, but we can take a few steps to at least make the application somewhat automated. Some functionality may be to avoid the cost estimation, like manual effort, to reduce the manual efforts. So there are two kinds of automation testing. One is unit testing, which is generally carried by the developer. The testing of Unity, I can say, generally these applications are developed in Unity, and there are many new technologies coming forward, but Unity is the core. So this is taken by the developer. Second one is the integration testing, where we are just going to give example of two framework. One is Azure, and second one is XCUITest. So this integration testing, where we are just validating the functionality, usability, even the performance of the application, and we also somewhat cover the device performance in this framework also. So what is the architecture of this area? So Arium, if you see, there are real world and SDK. We have nothing to do with the real world and SDK. These are like varies from area to area, or you may like test the application in the open area, you may test the application in a theater. It depends. So this is not in our control. But what is in our control is Unity and the virtual world. So the integration of Unity and virtual world can be scripted using the Arium. What Arium will do here, the SDK. Suppose I'll give one example of SDK. It's like Google Lens. So Google Lens, there is an option called pinch, but in Unity there is no option called pinch. So what Arium do? It take the option pinch and convert it into click. And there are many options which is convert as a keyboard input and then create a test script for the user. So I'll just give one example how you can do here. You can just set up a Arium instance. Then once the Arium instance is set up for you, you can load a like scene. It will be vertically come, diagonally come, or it will come horizontal. Then you have to load that scene. Then you have to find out what object you want to click. Then after clicking that object, what will be the expected result that you need to validate. So I have given a sample code. If you see the first code, that is for initial the Arium. Once the Arium is initialized, then you have to like load the scenes. Then there is a object like you can create a object where you can like identify the interaction between the plugins and the object. Then at the end you can give the different asset criteria. And the demerit of like disadvantage of Arium is it doesn't support the BDD, and it is like very difficult when we are integrating it through CI/CD. And secondly, it has very less documentation. So people started using it late. So one new framework which overcome it is XCUITest. So Harsh will again continue with the XCUITest.
Yeah, thank you. So it's kind of more or less the same thing which Arium was doing. So XCUITest is more focusing on the image part, image recognition part. So let's say you have one application where you have some sets of images. So basis on that image, you can create your test scripts. And XCUITest supports Unity 3D, Cocos 2D, and Android and iOS application both as well. And you can run it with Windows and Mac both. And it is suitable for Android, iOS, and plus Windows application, both of them. And it has a recording playback feature as well, and it has a reporting view, and also you can use it with a cross platform. So this is a one example of how to connect an Android device using XCUITest. So first you need to import it. After that you need to init the device, that what would be the device, whether it's Android or iOS, you need to define that. After that you need to install it, and you need to define the path of your APK. After that, start that name with the package name of your APK. After that, touch and the image where you need to touch it. And the other one would be the swipe. So let's say there is a banner in the application. So you need to define the start image and the end image. So basis on that, it will swipe. The next one would be the assert that after swiping, there should be one success PNG. So we are validating that. After that, there is a key event which is a back and home, and after that you can uninstall it. So this is one example how you can test your application using that. And this is a record and write script, so which I am mentioning that let's say there is an image and you take one image, basis on that you write scripts on that, you mention some conditions, and basis on that you can define your test. So yeah, that's all.
There was like a question in the previous session that no touch code. So I can say it's the example of no touch code. Here you are not going to like a single knowledge of test coding, but you can record the session, you can take the element ID, you can explore that in form of coding. So yeah, we are welcoming questions.